The Enterprise is snapped like a rubber band, and it goes back in time to Earth in the late 60s. Tomorrow is yesterday. Next.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Edith Keeler's Edge of Forever Bar and Grill. I'm Chip Cosell, this is John Whitney,
Hey, John
and
Whitney.
we are here to talk about tomorrow is yesterday. The bar is open. Welcome aboard. John,
Hey.
what do you think?
I don't think a lot.
What do we got on the bar today?
Oh, okay, so we have some Saurian brandy.
Oh my
No,
God.
it's Saurian whiskey. Made by the beautiful people at Michner's.
Michner's,
Yes.
straight rye.
It's rye, yes.
Yep.
That's actually
lovely.
what it is. But I got this bottle
Yeah, you got that for your birthday.
for my 60th birthday from some of my my coworkers.
That is very cool.
They knew I
present.
was some kind of a Star Trek guy. So
That is awesome.
I will pour this.
Man,
Ah, yes.
look at that.
Pour some, please. Here you go.
Oh, what episode is this bottle used from?
I can't remember. I think it was the second season.
Yeah, it's like we'll talk about it when we get to it, but it's where Scotty's trying to get this alien drunk
Yeah,
to make
right.
him pass out. And the alien drinks through the bottle of that one. He's like,
Right, but he drinks all these other bottles.
Yeah,
And he says,
yeah.
I was saving this for a special occasion. And then when he finally goes over, he's like going, beauty. Did it again, and then he like fell over.
That's great. Well, that's great. I love that bottle. Oh, cheers. Let's
good
see what
bottle.
this is like.
Thank you, people
Space
at my work.
Mitchners. Tomorrow was yesterday. Great episode. One of the ones when you're a kid you really enjoy. It has a lot of action in it, and it's time travel. You know?
Right. So we open up, and the Enterprise, and we open up on an Air Force base in the late '60s, and there's a bunch of fighter jets kind of moving around and stuff, which I know what it is. It's a F-104 Starfighter because I'm a nerd.
Oh, I didn't
When
even
it
know
comes
that.
to that shit, yeah.
That's great.
And then we go into a room where there is a guy on a radar screen, very plain room, and the guy says, "Hey, I got something on the scopes."
Yeah.
It just kind of the guy says, "Oh yeah, blah blah." He's not interested at all, and then he
Right.
says something like, "Well, actually, it kind of dropped in the sky, and it's right there." And he gets up and he's like, "Going, oh, scramble our fighters. This may be a real UFO."
A real UFO. Yeah.
And then we cut to outside, and the Enterprise is basically limping along, almost
In the atmosphere.
yeah, above cloud level, maybe right around cloud level, just kind of like lurching around. And then we go to
And it goes to
the
a commercial. It goes to the opening credits, and it comes back, and the Enterprise is like, oh, everybody's on the bridge, and it's falling
Yeah.
apart, right? It's like,
Yeah, they're kind of like, he goes over and helps Sulu, and get up, and then Spock helps Uhura.
or on,
And he explains in the captain's log that they went too close to a black hole, right?
yeah, a dark star. Like,
Yeah.
they went too close to a dark star that was going supernova or something, and it slingshotted them out of the orbit and threw them at great distances. They don't know they're back in time yet.
Yeah, much like a rubber band, it snapped them a few
Yeah,
times.
snaps them back.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
And then the lights are off, and Mr. Spock says, "Well, if Mr. Scott is with us, he should be working on the lights right now." And then
Yeah, then the lights come on and goes, Scotty is with us,
Scotty is with us.
which is kind of cool. And then Kirk is like saying, hey, Uhura, get on the horn with Starfleet, let them know about that black star.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get a hold of him. She comes back later and says, well, I don't got anything, but I have something
Yeah.
in this weird channel. And she puts it
Yeah.
up.
And it's like, news at 5:30. The first Apollo mission to the moon will be taking off at 5:30 tomorrow, and the three blah blah. And he's like, as in like, stop. I don't want to hear anymore.
Yeah, like, he's like, that's the 1960s. And Spock's like, yes, apparently, so are we.
Yeah. So are we? And like Kirk turns around, he's like going, what?
Yeah, this like whisper.
He's like, I don't believe it.
Holy shit, like this blows his mind, which is kind of awesome. I like that
Yeah,
part.
yeah. So they're like going, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, well, what do they talk about? They talk about something? Or does Uhura pretty much right away say,
Well, Uhura says something like, hey, we got
yeah, there's something
something
going on.
coming up. on another channel, and it's like this chit chat of like, all right, I'm closing in on the UFO kind of thing.
Yeah, so they scramble these,
Yeah.
these fighters, and it keeps getting, Spock is like, well, there's an object that's closing in on us. And it's coming fast.
It's an old-style jet with possible nuclear weapons on it.
Right.
And if we are to get hit, the jet just didn't have nuclear weapons on it.
They could, they could.
Really? Okay.
Sure.
All right, we'll go with that.
We were crazy enough back then.
Yeah, it was the 60s. It was crazy 60s back then.
Yeah.
When they made the show. So yeah, nuclear weapons. So they're worried about it. So Spock recommends throwing a tractor beam on it or something, or warns that the ship will fall apart if we tractor beam it. But Kirk goes ahead and orders the tractor beam.
Starting to break up.
Right. It's tearing that ship apart. And he's like, well, we got, basically they're thinking we got to save the pilot. Mm-hmm. So Kirk orders transporter room to lock on the pilot.
Right. They beam him up.
He starts to run back down.
He goes, take over, Mr. Spock. I'm going down with the transporter room. So he goes down the transporter room.
Yep. And they beam him out.
And there's a guy standing there. Yeah, he's a guy standing there with his back turned to the whatever. Yeah. And Kirk walks up to him and he's like going, welcome to the Enterprise. Yeah. And the guy turns around, and he's like going, you speak English.
Yes. Yeah, so he's like all like formal and saying, I am Captain Christopher, blah, blah, blah.
Serial number, blah, blah, blah.
487932.
He's like, relax, easy. Captain. You're amongst friends.
Yeah, easy, buddy.
It's cool, buddy.
Yeah.
And it's whether he turns around and he looks, I don't know, it looks like Kirk looked at his dick, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's that weird, awkward moment where he's kind of looking, because he's up higher on the pad.
Yeah, he's probably just looking at his uniform.
Looking him up and down.
Yeah, he's looking at his uniform.
Well, I was going to confirm that he was kind of looking eye level at his dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're kind of like right on that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Right, good observation.
Nice the entire show.
Yeah, and I only noticed that because you said something. Otherwise, I would never have noticed it.
I'd go right to that. That's my problem, not yours.
And he's like,
where am I?
We're going to answer all your questions in due time. You're on the... Mm-hmm. Does he tell him that it's the Enterprise right then and there?
Yeah, he says, welcome aboard the Enterprise.
Yeah, that's right.
But he doesn't know what the Enterprise is.
Yeah. So they go out in the hallway and he sees a woman walk by.
Right, he's like, oh, no, woman?
A woman?
Yeah, a
woman on board the ship? That's crazy.
Yeah. Kind of a weird
How weird is that women are considered equals?
Right,
here.
He's shocked that he sees a woman there.
Yeah.
They get into the elevator.
Yeah, and he's really impressed by how many. Yeah, he's like, tell me what's going on. This is really great feat of engineering. How many ships are in your fleet? He's
like 12 in the.
He's like 12 in the fleet total. So we know now that there are 12 Enterprise type ships.
And he's like, did the Navy try to go? We're a combined service.
Yeah.
So he just was like, and then he fesses up because listen, you're on a starship. We are from your future, and we time traveled back in time, and that's what's happening. And he kind of looks him up and down, like going, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Almost like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah. And then they get off. They step onto the bridge, and he's like, "Well, I never believed in little green men." And Spock walks up. Neither have I.
Neither have I.
And Spock is the little green man in this comedic shot scenario, which is funny. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so what do you say after that? They just kind of look at each other, and he just, he goes, Captain, I need to talk to you just for a second.
Yeah, and he pulls him away, and he says, we can't take him, we can't put him back on Earth. We can't leave him.
Right.
Because somebody could mess up the timeline. If someone, even if it wasn't him, it'd be someone he told something to.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's an unscrupulous man, but one could change, everything.
The conundrum, the time travel conundrum, that whole thing raises its head for the first time. This is the first time we're seeing time travel in Star Trek.
Pretty much.
Well,
except for that one.
That one naked time thing where they went back in time accidentally.
Yeah, using a formula, which they don't use in this episode.
Yeah, which they could have used because
what's going on here?
Like, look it up, man. Just do a quick search of your past missions, man.
Yeah. So he says, "Okay, thanks," and then he turns to the Captain Christopher and says, "Hey, listen, that uniform doesn't look very comfortable," or something.
Yeah, something like that. He goes, "Get him changed and meet me down in my quarters."
Yeah.
So the quartermaster gives him a uniform.
Yeah, and he leaves him on the bridge, and he's like messing with his ears, and he looks at Spock, and Spock looks at him, and then Uhura kind of looks and kind of laughs at the situation, like, "Oh yes, he's got pointy ears."
Oh, it's so funny, a fish out of water.
Yes. All right, now we're in Captain Kirk's room, and he's putting in a log, and we find out for the first time that the computer has a female voice.
Yeah, that's a sexy
dear.
voice.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
which I think is probably Barrett, right?
Yeah, Majel Barrett was.
Yeah.
Yeah, what made me think about it was when she gets frustrated at that one point. It sounded a lot like
Yeah,
Majel
a little
Barrett.
bit. A little bit, yeah.
That's what I thought. And so there's lots of comedic beats in this episode.
Right.
Like they take this opportunity to have a comedic beat with the computer. He has an exchange with the computer that he's like, computer, you will not address me in that manner. You know, that kind of thing. And then what's
Right.
going on with this Spock? And Spock's like, yes, the women of blah, blah, blah. You know,
Right.
like they decided to give, they're all women planet. And they decided to give this, when we did the overall, they gave the computer a female voice.
Yeah, but before that,
Yeah.
the guy sits down, Captain Christopher just sits down there and hears this, and Kirk is like kind of pissed off. He's like, I thought you told you were supposed to fix this, you know? And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind it so much if it wasn't that she was so, you know, affectionate. And then Spock said, the unfortunate tendency to giggle.
That's what he said, yeah. It's the unfortunate tendency to giggle.
And the dude's like going, ha ha ha, boy, you guys got some, boy, talk about, you know, rich men problems.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, too bad I can't stick around and see how it goes with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, then they're like, well, yeah, you're going to have to. You
Actually.
can't go home. Can't take you home, buddy.
What? Why not? I thought Mr. Spock said that you have that the transporter could beam anything up or down with, you know, with the size of a cigarette pack.
Yeah, he goes, no, it's, and then they tell him how he hasn't made any contribution. And he goes, I got to get down. I have 2 children. You see Spock kind of like, as a cutaway, just like 2 children. Huh?
Yeah, 2 children. So
Yeah.
it probably puts a seed in his brain, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty gets on the horn also and says, and gives him an update on the repairs. Repairs are coming along swimmingly. They're going to be fine, except, you know, where do we go? Yeah. Where do we go in this time? What do you want us to do?
Yeah, we got no place to go.
Yeah, and then so the captain, the air pilot's like, yeah, you know, I'm a prisoner of time, but so are you. You're stuck here just like me.
Right.
Anyway, there's a break at that point.
That's right.
A break, yeah.
So I think Kirk is in his quarters again, right?
Yes.
And Spock calls him and says, hey, I have some news.
Yeah, some new
get,
info.
Captain Christopher and yourself come to the whatever the meeting room.
Yeah, conference room.
And I got some news for you. So he tries to call Captain Christopher, and all of a sudden Captain Christopher is not in his quarters.
Yeah, he's not answering the hails. Yeah.
And Captain Christopher kept the hallway, and Captain Christopher is like walking down the hallway or sneaking down the hallway, and you see one of the Teamsters walk down the hallway, and he's got good hair this time.
Yeah, nice.
He's looking good, man.
Yeah,
and
they
so
decided to pay attention to
right.
him in the makeup room. Yeah.
Captain Christopher sneaks up on him, judo chop, and then takes his belt and takes his phaser.
Mm-hmm. And goes into the transporter room where he ambushes Kyle.
Yeah. Is that Kyle?
That's
right?
Kyle. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Kyle. Yeah.
He just like uppercut to the jaw.
Bam! Like totally not, like come on, that's crazy.
He's out like a light, dude.
Oh my god.
And then we go to the
sick bay.
Sick bay.
Yep. And Bones is in there.
And he's like, oh, besides a couple of bumps and scrapes and bruises, he's fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then so they have a discussion of where is he what's gonna happen to him? Like, what are we gonna do with him?
Yeah.
He's like, you can retrain him, you know, be retrained.
Yeah, you sound like Mr. Spock. He's like, I'm going to be rude. I'm going to leave.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's great. Great. All these comedic beats are in
I know.
It's a very serious
really good.
episode, like where the odds of them getting back are astronomical.
I know, right? But they say, you know, if we do that, would he forget about his wife and kids? You know, and he wakes up and he's going, no, I won't.
Yeah, I'll save you the trouble. I won't. Yeah, he's yelling. Yeah. So and Spock comes in at some point, right?
Yeah, he goes, Captain Christopher goes, I see that you guys have physical training in your service as well. And Spock walks in. What does he say?
Yeah.
He goes,
crude but effective.
Yeah, Christopher's like, going, what does he mean by that? He's like, nothing, Captain, it's a joke.
Yeah.
So they walk up.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
So he has news, right? He comes in and he says, listen, you know, I didn't even think about future
I
offspring.
made an error in my computations.
Yeah.
And Spock and Bones goes, oh, as I live and breathe, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's a first.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, and then he starts talking about, I neglected to correlate his future offspring. And
right.
Captain Christopher's son, Jeffrey Hunter, whatever his name is, I don't know.
Something Christopher.
Yeah, something Christopher.
Jeffrey Joseph
Sean Jeffrey.
Sean
Jeffrey, Christopher, leads the probe to Saturn. And he goes, I don't have a son. And he's like, no, not yet. And
Yeah, Kirk is like going, well, I guess that's it then. And then we cut to a shot of Kirk as Spock and McCoy, and all of a sudden they both whip their heads over, and then they see the guy smiling, like going, I'm going to have a son.
yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, exactly. Then it goes to the conference room,
Right.
and they're talking about a plan to go down, and because Chris, how do you explain it? He messed up. He turned on the cameras. And
Yeah,
the
he
audio
says, well, there's a
recording.
problem. Because he turns on the cameras, which are gun cameras,
Yeah,
and they were recording.
there was
just like
recordings.
you said.
Yeah,
And I can, they're going to process that right away
Yeah.
because they've been down there. Spock says, well, they've been down there and they're probably crawling all over that wreckage.
yeah, exactly.
And they'll find all this stuff and they'll process it. And he says, I can help because I was stationed on that thing about a year ago.
Right.
No, that would be a bad idea. What about your son?
Yeah, exactly.
Something goes wrong. Because, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. Well, I can draw you a map.
Yeah, I'll sketch out a map. That's what he says.
Yeah, and then Kirk says, okay, and he hands him the Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah. And I just made the comment, yeah, do you have any paper? And they're like, paper? What's paper? 'Cause they don't use paper in the
They don't.
future,
No.
ever in this show.
Yeah, there's actually a reference to it later.
Yeah. So that is like an etch, for all intents and purposes, it is
It
like a
kinda
giant,
looks like
it
one.
looks, it's the clipboard thing that Captain always he has to sign off on.
Right.
That is essentially an Etch-a-Sketch looking thing.
Yeah, so
You know.
he's going to start on the plans.
Yeah. So he's all happy drawing plans, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and he's going to say, that's basically it.
And so Sulu and Kirk beam down to the base. And we
Right.
see them lurking in the halls.
That's right.
Like pointing out antique stuff like this paper on a wall.
Yeah, point to the paper.
Yeah, like, isn't that hilarious? These nerds.
And then
Paper on the wall.
they go by a trophy case, and I'm wondering if any of those trophies are actually Roddenberry's trophies when he was in the Air. I guess it wouldn't be the Air Force; it'd be the Army, the Army Air Corps.
Right. Yeah, I never thought.
Wasn't he on a B-7, some kind of bomber or something? Is it bomber crew?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he
that
was.
right?
He was on a bomber crew.
Yeah,
That's where he got the idea for the Enterprise.
So I'm wondering if maybe something on those shelves is his.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious. If you know the answer to that, which I doubt anybody's got the answer to that because that's pretty.
That's pretty
out there.
esoteric and pretty narrow, like a total specific thing, That
But if I was Roddenberry and I had something, I would put it on that shelf.
I'd say, hey, give this to the prep crew.
So they break into this office.
So they go into the office, they find the computers, and they're like, oh, primitive computers.
I saw these once in a museum.
Yeah, and Sulu's like, yeah, if you turn it on, it makes the devil's noise. He goes, we ain't turn it on, buddy. So, transporter room. They cut to the transporter room, and Spock, Bones is all pissed. Shouldn't they be done by now? What's going on? We got to get them out. What's taking them so long? And he goes, a subterfuge often takes longer than necessary, kind of thing. He's like, Spock is like giving back to him. Shouldn't you be working on your formula?
Complications.
On your for the jump back home.
Spock is like, I am.
Yeah, it's like he's so smart. He's working on it without like sitting in front of a computer or a board.
Yeah,
and
he's
there's this comedic beat.
Yeah.
And then they cut back down, and now a guard has come in. Right. He's like, hey, freeze, guys.
Yeah, and I like the way he holds his gun. He's like pointing at. He does the old Hollywood. Hey, what's going on there? Stop right there. Go over there. Blah blah. He's always using his gun as a pointer.
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
thought was kind of funny. So he asked him to give over his belts. Their belts.
Yeah.
So they do. They give them both belts, and all of a sudden they hear beep. They'll go back upstairs, and he's like going.
It's cutting back and
He's
forth.
like going. I think this has been long enough. He should have called in at least.
Yeah, and then Spock's like, perhaps you're right, Doctor. And,
they call
signal
down.
them. So they signal them.
And now they're back down on the surface, and all of a sudden, you beep, 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 beep. And he's like, what's that? He's like,
I didn't hear anything.
what's what?
What?
Yeah. And he goes, it's a communication. Go ahead and he picks it up, and he opens it up, and
he must have hit a button or something,
Yeah.
because Sulu leans over and he was like, to the captain, it's emergency transport button, Captain.
they cut back up to, and he goes, it's emergency transport. And he goes, well, beam them up now. And he's like, how come there's not two?
Well, we'll soon find out, Doctor.
Yeah.
They beam him up.
Yeah, they beam up the dude, and the guy kind of disappears in front of it. It's beamed up in front of Kirk, and Kirk is like, oh, God damn it.
Yes, he's like,
Son of a bitch. And we go up to the thing, and the guy beams up, and he just kind of like, he's like looks around.
So,
he's like, oh, what the fuck?
he's frozen, man.
He doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. And then Kirk gets on the horn and says, all right, guys. Yep. As you can see, we've got another problem.
I wanted Spock to go, "Durr."
Durr, Captain. Durr, indeed.
And the guy's frozen, right? He's just kind of looking there. And
Yeah. Then it cuts to a break, and we come back, and we're in the transporter room, and the guy's still frozen there, and
I think McCoy goes up to him and takes the gun or the
yeah,
gun away.
He takes the gun away.
And the
That's
communicator away, and the guy's still frozen.
Yeah.
And it's like I think it was a voiceover of
Of Captain's log.
Yeah. Spock's log, blah blah. This is
Oh, right.
And then we go back down, and they're about to sneak in. They're trying to
They're
find the dark room.
Yeah, they have to get to the dark room, and they quickly hide as they hear somebody coming.
Yeah, and
they
then
point it out.
it's like like a tall James Dean
Yeah.
walking with all the hair and stuff. I'll point it out in the video.
Yeah.
So the guy looks like James Dean. I'm like, oh, that's not James Dean. James is shorter, but that guy looks like James Dean.
It's not. Yeah, it's the guy clearly was out there in Hollywood trying to make it.
Something. He's got some hair, man.
Clearly.
So
And-
they go into the room after
Yeah.
they leave, and they walk past to their left. Our right is two stand-up moviolas.
Yeah, and we had those in film school.
Yeah, and so it's basically, you can do anything with them. You can edit with film with them or whatever. A lot of times people would use them to sync up audio because it was a double system. There was like a mag track which had the audio on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the film, and you just would sync up reels. I think most of the time that's what it was used for because a lot of people edited on flatbeds at that point.
And I don't think I ever used the moviola at school. I think maybe I watched something on it, but
I
didn't
watched
use it.
something. I didn't use it that much. No.
Yeah.
I used it once.
And I heard that once you use it though, it's like this is what you want to edit on all the time because it's so great. I guess.
so.
I
Or
never
sync
did.
up. Anyway.
Yeah. Did you would tell me also when you saw it, you thought one was 35 millimeter in the shot and the other was 16?
Yeah, I think the one farthest to the second one to the left looked like a 35 because the 35 millimeter is about that big.
Yeah.
And it looked like a 35 millimeter stand-up movie. Anyway, so they go into the dark room and they find the film and they say, "Oh, great! Here, take this." When they go into the dark room, they trip some kind of a sensor.
Yes,
and
an alarm.
Yeah, these like security guys see it and they're going. He's like, "Photo lab," and then they leave. So when he leaves to go out to go check out around some more, they bust in.
Yeah, they bust in on him.
He closes the door behind him.
Kirk closes the door real quickly.
Yeah.
To save his friend George Takei.
And so there's a big fight ensues. It's like Kirk on
It's
3.
a great fight. It's like Kirk on steroids, man.
It's like ridiculous. He does like a cross body slam to two guys. Like he flies in the air. He's like, boof. And they slam into all these film reels and then stuff.
Yeah, he jumps up, grabs the top of a doorway, lifts his feet up as the guy flies under him, and then he jumps over another guy, and he's like all this crazy stuff. Then finally, the colonel had enough and whips out his gun and a dramatic music cue. Dun! Ends it, ends the fight. And he's like, ugh. So then they got him all. And meantime, Sulu beams up. Yeah, and he's like, "Where'd the other one go?" He goes, "Other one? What other one? It's just me." Well, by the way, where would he go?
You were here the whole time. You would have saw him leave.
Yeah.
And he goes, I guess you're right. And I can't remember that guy's voice. It's so familiar.
Yeah.
If anybody knows who that guy is, just let us know.
I can't remember.
But his voice
either.
is very familiar.
Yeah.
So
that cuts to the conference room, and Spock is looking at the film. He goes, "Poor photography," and Bones blows his lid. And I was like, "God damn it, Spock!
yeah,
You have your little observations. We gotta do something."
blast you.
Yeah, he's like crazy about it.
Yeah. So he did the right thing by beaming up. We go back down, and Kirk is in the interrogation room. He's being interrogated by this guy. Mm-hmm. And he's like going, "So what are you doing? What is your name again?" He's like, "For the third time, it's James T. Kirk."
Yeah.
I go, "Okay, James T. Kirk, what are you doing down here?"
If I told you, you wouldn't believe me.
Yeah, how'd you get in here? Believe me. And so he goes over and he picks up a phaser.
Yeah, one of the hand phasers.
He starts waving it around and stuff. He's like, "Oh, hold on a second. Be careful with that. Otherwise, you're going to have a big problem on your hands."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you telling me? I can take this apart and we'll figure out what this is, And
We're no dummies.
yeah, and he tosses it to the guy behind him, and Kirk is like, "Oh, whoa,
It's like, this thing's gonna go off, man.
shit."
Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah, so he basically says, you're here for espionage, breaking and entering, blah, blah, blah. I'll put you away for 200 years.
Yeah, and then the camera closes
Yeah.
and he goes, yes, that'd be about right.
Yeah.
And it cuts to the conference room, and Captain Christopher's in there. He wants to go down to the surface to help them because he knows this place. And
Yeah.
he says, all right, let's get some hand phasers, you and Sulu. And
Yeah, only me and you, Sulu, are going to have hand phasers.
Yeah.
So we'll go down.
yeah. He goes, don't you trust me, Mr. Spock? He goes, I do trust you. Actually, I trust you to a point.
You're right.
Which is kind of, so it's like there's this relationship that's growing here with them. It's like, all right, well, he refuses to write anything down. He insists that he's going to go down to the planet now, and it's very to Earth, and it's like, no, it's very risky, but Spock agrees.
So they beam down, and the guard is like in the transporter room, and the what's his name says, "Are you hungry?" He
Yeah,
goes,
Kyle,
"Yeah,
transporter.
I'm hungry." He goes, "What would you like?" He goes, "Chicken soup." So weird the way he said it,
Yeah,
and he does it.
he pops a card in.
Yeah.
Although I think this is the first time I've ever seen them use a
replicator.
a disc for the replicator. Don't they usually just hit a button or say something?
No, it's a disc of some kind.
Yeah, they pop a card in a disc, and out comes chicken soup. He's like, "Oh my God, how'd you do that?" Mm-hmm. I was talking to John. I'm like, "Man, what'd you get?" Like, I am hungry. Let me get a burger, man. Nice big cheeseburger from Pasquale's or whatever. Something like, they give me an In-N-Out burger, man.
I guess, but that's why he's thin and we're fat.
Or at least I am.
No, I got something around here, man.
Camera can't see that, John.
Yeah, well,
You're
you
good.
know,
You're good.
I hide it. I hide it, that's for sure.
Then it cuts back down to the base. Now we're back on the base.
Yeah, so Sulu and Kirk and Spock and Christopher,
yeah, they're
are
there.
down there, and then Christopher basically walks down the hallways like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
Yeah, just walks by, boop-a-doop-a-doop, because he's wearing a Star Trek uniform now.
Yeah.
Which is a captain's tunic, by the way.
Yeah.
So he just walks by, boop-a-doop-a-doo, and then he's like, hey, what are you doing? Does Spock give him
No. Sulu walks up, grabs the guy, and does judo chop right to the
judo
neck.
chop in the neck, and he passes out.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, the human version of a Vulcan mind pinch.
Yeah,
Judo bam!
They go into where they're holding Kirk.
Oh, that's right. And then the guy comes at, and then Spock gives the mind.
Yeah,
the
because they open up the doors like, "Oh no, guy
Yeah.
with pointy ears," and he's
Yeah.
like surprised.
Yeah, and then the colonel goes up with his gun, and Kirk kicks the gun out of his hand.
And then gives him one shot
Yes.
to the face, and he's like,
Yes.
he does this like really dramatic slide down the door.
Yeah, like really overacting school of.
Yeah, I'm gonna die,
Lesbianism.
but not hurt myself
It's like, yeah,
or
these
whatever.
guys.
So he basically says, "Okay, great, four to beam
up. Let's get out of
He
here.
goes, "Oh no, not me!" And he pulls the gun on him.
There's a break, and then it comes back. He goes,
Oh,
"Where
yeah.
is he? Where's the guy? Where's Spock? Spock, come out here!" Meantime, Spock appears behind him. He goes, you're going back. I'm not. You don't have to take me back because I'm home now. That kind of thing. I'm home now. I'm staying here. Then Spock does that to him,
Yeah, he
right?
pinches him, and that does the Vulcan mind,
Yes.
the Vulcan pinch. And he goes down. He's like, "Oh, I kind of thought maybe he wouldn't want to go, quietly."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Kirk is like, "On, you sled dog."
Yeah. Yeah.
So they beam up.
Yeah. And then it's the conference room, and they're in the conference room. Scotty's explaining that everything's ready to go, and they're explaining the slingshot effect about how they're going to get back by slinging around the sun using the sun's They didn't even say gravity; they said magnetic waves. And
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah. So they're telling exactly how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And they're going to go back in time, and then while they're coming back toward Earth, forward in time, they're going to beam him back at the right moment, and he won't even remember that they existed. So it's a perfect scenario.
Yeah, exactly. It's explained very well, but it just is like, it's awful. I just don't understand this, to be honest. Like as a kid, I accepted it. Like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff.
That's okay. Suspending our disbelief.
Oh, yes, please, we must do that. And you must do this. Suspend your disbelief.
That's true. Okay, so that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So they go to the bridge.
Yep, and they're starting to go towards the sun. They cut to a rear shot of the Earth, and the Earth is pulling away. And the Captain Jeffrey's like, "Hey, thanks, man. This has been really great. Getting to be out in outer space before anybody."
I was in line to be in the space program, but I didn't qualify.
Yeah, because I suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, you're the first one."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you may not hear further than anybody else.
And they're like, hey, well, you better get changed and get down to the transporter room. We only have 15 years to go. And I don't understand that reference.
Because they're going forward and they're going back in time.
They're going forward, but going back in time?
Yes, that's how they explained it.
Okay, so they're going back 15 years?
Or whatever it is.
And then when they whip around the sun, it comes forward.
In time.
Those 15 years get back?
You got to think about that rubber band thing. And the bang, and then back and forward in time.
Get change.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So they brace they get closer and closer, faster and faster.
Yeah, and they see the
sun.
chronometer. Even Spock's like, the chronometer is moving backwards.
And then prepare to brake, Sulu, and they start whipping around the backside. They start to brake.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool shot with the sun, and there's like this what is it, like a solar flare kind of looping around as a really nice shot.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're buckling or whatever, and the
engines are buckling.
Yeah, and they finally slow down and they whip out of orbit from the sun
and go towards the Earth. Now they're heading back, and now they're going forward in time.
And they're starting to pick up speed.
Yeah.
They're at warp 4, and then they're at warp 8, and then off the charts.
Right. And I guess, are they going to swing by Earth and then beam them down while they're swinging by Earth?
Yeah.
Because they have to. They have to be near Earth.
Yeah.
So they have it calculated so that they come up to the point in time in the show when he was in the airplane. They beam him into the airplane.
Right.
Right?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and then they beam the guard down.
Yes.
At a moment when he was about to open that door. Mm-hmm. So where's the Enterprise in that scenario? Where he's looking at the Enterprise. No, he's looking at the Enterprise in the ship, and he gets beamed into himself. Why isn't he still seeing the Enterprise?
Well, he does right until he's beamed back into reality.
Exactly.
And then the consciousness that he is at doesn't see anything.
Why?
I don't know.
This is the kind of thing that drives me crazy about this episode. And the guard gets beamed down as he's about to open the door and discover Kirk in there. And Sulu, but they're not there. He just sort of jiggles the handle and moves on.
He's kind of walking.
Anyways, suspending our disbelief. They keep going. For some reason, the Enterprise is not in that reality. It must be an alternate reality.
And now they're going forward in time.
Yes.
And they have a certain amount of time. They're out by, I think they said Pluto?
Yes.
And
they're way far.
Way out
going really, really super fast, going years into the future.
So now they have to start thinking about braking.
Yeah.
And they say, get ready to brake. Tell me when to brake. And then Spock is like, now. And then Kirk disregards now and calls Scotty and has a conversation.
Scotty.
Sorry. I know you just said now, but I got to talk to Scotty real quick. And Scotty's like going, oh, we could lose we'd get destroyed. He's all worried about his engines.
Yeah. The engines are buckling. Well, we got to do it.
Yeah.
And then he says, all right, now, Mr. Scott. 20 seconds later, from when Spock said now.
Spock is like going, 10 years, 9, 8. Oh, that's enough, Mr. Spock, whatever. And I was like, they all lean over.
If we come back a little early or a little late, it doesn't matter.
Not a big deal. And there's this whole dramatic braking sequence. And Scotty's like going, Captain, the ship, the engines, and they cut back and they're all slowed down. And he goes, well, I guess Scotty's with us.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden there's a hail from
from Starfleet.
Yeah. And they say, hey, what's going on? What are you doing out there? Or whatever. I forget what they said.
I can't remember. It was the impression was that they were wondering what happened to the Enterprise and that now he's back. Is that what you got? It's not spoken, but it's that's the impression you get.
Yeah.
Like, hey, is that Enterprise? Is that you? That kind of thing.
And he says, hey, listen, I just want to repeat my message, which he never said the message.
Yeah.
But he says, the Enterprise is home.
Enterprise is home.
Or we are home.
Yes,
Or
we are home.
like that. So that was the end of the episode.
Yeah. And they should have responded with, oh, we didn't know you left.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
Yeah.
That was great. Anyway, yes, in general, this is awesome, though.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great episode.
In spite of this craziness that I'm getting all worked up about. You know what I mean?
You can blame the writer, D.C. Fontana.
Yeah.
Which actually, she actually wrote 5 episodes of Next Generation. Mm-hmm. She wrote Charlie X, which is a good one. This Side of Paradise, which will be coming up later on in this season. And the Ultimate Computer. You remember that one? M5.
Yeah.
The M5, Kirk. All right. So Court Martial next time.
Court Martial. That's
Thanks for watching, guys. And if you please subscribe and
Like and subscribe. Don't be shy. Go
hit
ahead and
that
write
bell
some
so you
notes.
can be
Notes.
notified.
We reply to you when you make notes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Well, sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah.
But
We're
we
getting
definitely
better
do.
at it.
Yeah. I know. I get into a mode and I'm like, yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, man.
I love it. Thank you. But until then, the bar's closed.